Hello, so this is Talking with ILM Method Practitioner, volume number 6. Yay! And today, joining me will be Taylor Unwin from Berlin coming. And she's yet another one of my fabulous advanced course mate that's currently happening. So we'll get to meet each other again in December. I don't know why that was hard. Hi Tom. Hi Taylor. Yes, we are currently just studying together in advanced course, and she's a graduate of the hybrid course like Tom, who just joined, and Sarah, and she is also a dancer choreographer professionally, just like we had an announcement yesterday, which is so exciting, that she's also an admin and organizer for the new course that will be starting in new basic course led by one of my favorite fabulous Noah Goldin. So that's really exciting. Oh, and that's happening in autumn 2025. But aside from this excitement, I'm just excited that she gets to join, and I will let her. I'm gonna invite later than I had initially mentioned. We were trying to connect to each other for like 10 minutes before, and there she is already.
Yeah. I was like, ready.
He literally was like trying to do this practice like technical run and trying to just connect for like 10 minutes. Hi.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining today.
Yes, thank you for having me on here and for the amazing, thorough intro. It's awesome. I love it. I'm very flattered.
I didn't know this like announcement was happening yesterday, so just the timing, how it worked, I was like, oh my God. There she is, and I'll be see her tomorrow. It was just so like I love that.
Yes, me too. Me too. I'm so excited. Yeah, it feels real now, sharing it with the community and sharing it with the world. And to have some interest already is really exciting. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's gonna be great. I can't believe we're a year away, but it feels good to yeah, be building.
Wow. And it's
Yeah.
such a like I don't like I feel so short with words saying this, but like such an awesome theme already. Like I'm like, yeah, of course I want to come, like just to hang with you guys, like
Yes.
that alone.
Please.
But today, I want to do this about with you without the course.
Yeah.
So I mean, with or without the course. But yeah, today I want to talk about you. So first, I would just love for from your words, like to share who you are, where you are, what you do. Maybe I already covered that, but just from you, actually.
Yes. Beautiful. Yes. In short, dancer, choreographer, practitioner based in Berlin now. And I'm from the US. I moved here from Los Angeles almost a year ago. It'll be 1 year in September. And yes, I did the hybrid basic course training where we were online, and we all met in Poland after 1 year online together. And I remember sitting with a few people at dinner, and someone was like, "So when are you moving to Europe?" And I was like, "Well, soon, I think." And
Oh, you knew
so
already then?
I I didn't, but I felt it. Yeah. So it felt like it was something that I had been wanting for a long time, and then just being here and experiencing the training and the community associated with it, it just made a lot of sense. Yeah.
Ah,
But
I did
yeah.
not know this about you. That's amazing.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, in our last two advanced course meetings, I was really in the like post chaos of moving. Um, moving is always crazy and difficult and shows you so many beautiful things and openings and like offers so much space to shed and clear. So I'm very grateful for it, but looking forward to going to our next meeting in December with a little bit more of this grounded feeling that I've felt after a year here. It's been a process. But yeah,
Especially like
mhm.
the like a domestic, like an international move. It's such a like profound.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's big. Um, and yeah, speaking of that, I yeah, I grew up on the East Coast in Connecticut and made my way west. I lived in Chicago for a while and then Los Angeles for a while, and LA is where I did my training online first. Yeah.
And was the each move like what was the what made you move to each city? Was it the city itself, or was it the community, or was it just spontaneous? Um,
Mm. I've been reflecting on this a lot lately, and it's always something else that brings me to another city. Um, Usually, uh, people or a place, and also an interest in something bigger and new. So each time I've moved, it's been to a little bit of a bigger city, and yeah, it feels like on one hand, really a lovely thing to get settled into a community and to be in a place and to grow within a place. But what I've been reflecting on so much recently is, well, my grief of leaving a place that I love and people, and what am I what am I leaving behind? What am I gaining? Like, what space is there for something new? And I really feel like being in a new place, um, yeah, it has a lot of challenges, but it also is a totally different space for you to grow into and fill yourself with. And so, yeah, I would say I'm still processing a bit, but it feels really, it feels really good to notice themes of mine personally, and with how I settle and how I build community and how I build work, but also to have this very new space to change my habits if I want to.
wow. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow. And so you ended up in LA before coming to Berlin now. And how did you meet Ilan Lev Method? Like, what was your first introduction to the method? Yeah.
Yes, I love hearing everyone's story with this question in general. Um, so it was actually during the pandemic that I became aware of the training at all, or the method. And
Whoa.
I know what was happening at the time was it was still early in the quarantine, and I remember um, I most of my Instagram, especially at the time, was dancers and movers, like everything dance related. And a lot of people were sad to miss in-person class and also needed regular training. And we were still kind of in this mindset of like, this will be over soon. We'll have, shows to get back to. We should stay in shape and all these things. And so there were all these free classes online all the time. It was so wonderful. Like suddenly you could be taking class with someone internationally or across the country. And so that being said, I joined Annie Rigney's movement class. She was offering an ILM movement class online. And I
Yeah.
was like, I don't know what that is, but I like Annie's dancing, so I'm gonna try it. And it was great. Like, I remember being like, okay, this feels really familiar. I don't know why, but it's also weird and different. Um, and I felt really good. My body felt really good. I felt like more spacious but calm. And so then that led me to the ILM Instagram page, and I just followed it, not expecting anything. And then I don't know if it was days or weeks later, there was an online announcement that they were going to transition the basic course that was supposed to be happening soon to this online hybrid version. And I was like, okay. I, yeah, it's crazy how it unravels. But at the time, I had been learning myofascial release technique from a mentor in my hometown where I grew up. And before that, I was also doing this stretch therapy that was like physical therapy stretching that basically like anyone can walk into and get done to them. And so I knew that I loved the body and movement because of dance, but then also was very like developing this interest in body work. But with these other methods, I felt very strained. I was very tired. Um, I was getting aches because I'm like really holding people's weight and forcing things. And so I wasn't aware of it, but I was looking for something else. So then
Oh.
this came up, and I talked with Annie. She recommended a practitioner that was based in LA, and I went to a treatment and already was like 99% sure that I wanted to do the training, but then doing the treatment was like, yep. I was like wearing it was with Tyler
Yes.
Phillips, and we had a beautiful session. And afterwards, they were like, if you can, like, go to the store and grab some dark chocolate on your way home. And I was like, okay, you don't need to tell me twice to buy dark chocolate. And in the store, I had my mask on and I was just smiling under my mask the whole time while I was walking around. And so I was really sold on it at that point, and we started training, I don't know, a month later or less than a month later.
Wow. And
Yeah.
I recall the LA capsule was quite big, no? Like, was it like 4, 5 of you? Is that true? Or
Yeah, there were two. It was Evelyn and I as students, and then
okay.
Tyler and Bib as guides. So it was just
Ah,
two of us. But sometimes we would have a visitor from another city, um, or yeah, it kind of shifted over the course of the months. But yeah, yeah, it was a good little group.
oh. And I want to go back a little bit, like,
Mhm.
because I feel like for dancers, it's quite common to pick up like other secondary body work, whether that's teaching or treating. And for you, like, what was your interest into like learning other modalities, and then eventually with the Ilanov method to
Mm.
uh, find the interest in treating?
Mm. Yeah, that's a really good question. It's true, it is really common. I think because we have such an overlapping knowledge base of the body and movement, and maybe an interest in the body. Um, but what led me to it initially, for years, I was working in coffee, which I know we share that love. I know. And I did enjoy it, but it was also tiring on my body. And so I was new to LA at the time. I had been living there about a year. I saw a job posting for this stretch therapy, and that it came with training. And
Oh,
at the
wow.
time, I was thinking like kind of in that dancer mindset of what's plan B for how my career starts to evolve if I can't perform forever, if I can't, be physical forever, what is it? And so I was always interested in something like physical therapy, or wasn't sure if I wanted to go a little bit more academic with it. Um, and so I thought of the stretch therapy position as like a way to feel it out if I even liked working
Right.
with other bodies.
Right.
And turns out I did. I loved it. I love working one on one with people, developing relationships with people. I had many regulars there that just like to see their struggles and their progress was really rewarding. Sounds like a cheap word for it. It was like I felt connected with them and invested in them as a person. And so the place that I was working, I was there for 2 years, and that's the longest that I've worked at one employed position. Not because I do anything bad, just that my attention shifts quickly. And so I was a little surprised that I was like, yeah, I will do this. But then I stopped partially because of the pandemic there and the structure of the business there I didn't love. But that was when I was simultaneously starting training in the myofascial release work, which was a little bit more in-depth information than the stretch therapy. And I felt like for me personally, it made a difference with things that I was struggling with my body, made a difference quickly. And that's what I think it's really good for. It's like a really deep, kind of quicker shift for your physical body. But then I say that because now doing ILM, it feels like this very multi-dimensional practice of the physical, the mental, emotional, energetic. Like it's, yeah, the whole picture for me.
Cool. Wow. Um, and like entering into the training, like what was it like? I guess because you had a with the hybrid course like a weekly meetings and then practice time in between. And during the pandemic, what was it challenging to find opportunity to practice, or like on screen? Were you able to? What was your what was your experience like? Was there a lot of struggle or not so much or?
Hmm, that's a good question too. Uh, it
Yay.
wasn't too much of a struggle, luckily. I
Ah.
think the way that I was thinking about it was during the training, we had our weekly sessions all together, and I loved Sundays doing that. And I always left feeling so like I was in a pool of water and just so calm and good. And I realized recently also that during that time, there wasn't a lot of touch happening in
Yeah.
life for anyone really. And I was very used to having dance rehearsals with people, with friends, and like there's always touch happening all the time. So I didn't realize until recently how huge that was that I had access to that. And I'm really grateful for that. Um, and during the months that we were doing the weekly meetings, we were also doing the weekly movement class. And my partner at the time, we would kind of practice a little bit, but I didn't have a table yet for a little while. So
Ah.
I didn't do too much outside of the online sessions that we were having,
Mhm.
honestly. Um, but then as it started to become more okay for people to come by, and I got a table, I had some existing myofascial clients that I was like, would you be interested in trying a little bit of this? And they were like very open and said yes. And I actually found it very easy to work with my dance community in LA. A lot of people were curious and knew me, and so there's like an automatic base there for us to start from. And so, yeah, it was a pretty easy transition, especially after finishing the training to come back. And people were a lot more comfortable after, a year after quarantine, and we could work masked or not if we were comfortable or tested. And so, yeah, it felt like I felt good. There were times that I think after the training, I would feel very like ready and that I had all like I was excited and could go. And then you sit down and you're like, I don't know anything. What am I doing? And and you would get nervous and like this person is here to like work with me and they're expecting something. And what's so beautiful about the philosophy in the method, or one part of it, is like just okay, like maybe let all of that go and just start doing something. And so it was a very good practice for me, especially coming from dance and wanting to perform and deliver something, to just be like, nope, continuously shed that mindset. So luckily, I also had access to a studio, a place that I had been working for a long time, and so yeah, similar to the exposure of the method, everything kind of rolled out very naturally.
And earlier you mentioned that like this initially to connect to the treatment was something that you were able to, I guess, like continue for a longer duration than you had experienced before. And like with the ILM, like has anything evolved in curiosity or maybe physical shifts or yeah. I don't know if I'm being clear, but
You mean, do you mean in treating, like how I approach it, or
no, just for your own, like for yourself, of your own curiosity, or how, like if there's any thing that shifted within you after starting the training and I guess I mean training, practicing. I feel like it's always the same thing. Like you start practicing and you just continue. So I feel
yes,
like
it's
that's the
like
stage of practicing. It's like whether you're a student or like after the course, it's like, for me at least, it's like always you're just continuing to practice.
for sure. I think actually that right there is something that shifted for me, is the term practice and what it means. Like life is just a practice. Like we're doing all of these things and discovering all the time, or playing with things, or letting things go. Um, yeah, I think what I really noticed first was learning the actual movement, or concepts, and how we think about movement, or send or receive movement. All of these things were very in my student brain. I was practicing the method, but then it had this effect in the rest of my life, um, in every everything, every topic, like socially, work wise, um, housing, how I my own relationship with myself, how I was thinking, all of that was shifting a little bit. And also, um, I was very blessed with dance space during the quarantine. The studio that I mentioned before that I worked out of, I was able to spend time in the studio alone. And I would spend hours a day there and just improvise. And I was trying to keep up my physical practice, but then it became this thing that I didn't know I needed, which was a lot of time to just go down my own path and investigate. And the movement language of ILM found its way into my improvisation and my physical movement there. And I found, yeah, a lot of freedom in movement and new ways of moving. But it seemed also simultaneously so obvious, like such obvious ways of moving.
I mean, in the live I did with Sarah, she was mentioning you and Toby went to see her dance perform, and you
Yes.
noticed ILM in her body as she was performing.
Yes.
Do you recognize that for yourself too? Or...
Yes, actually, and I have a couple of things about that. Like, I think you can tell with other practitioners, certainly. You can see it in dancers that get treated a lot, actually. This
Ah,
was a really exciting thing for me. One of my close friends, dance colleagues, and ILM regulars is in LA, and the way that their movement changed with the information of like regular sessions and learning a little bit about it, but really feeling it and sensing it, you can also see it in their body, um,
ah,
which is really beautiful. And I feel like it's not because it's like, oh, our session was great and now I can see an effect. It's really not that. Like, they are connecting with this freedom in their body and this very natural movement of their body. And it's not that they're trying on this movement quality, it's that they are more spacious and like you see them more as a person. And it's just so, yes, we did go and see Sarah perform. It was wonderful. She is wonderful. And seeing, yeah, the movement in her body was like, oh, yes, making me all the space. And it was amazing. And what else was I going to say about that? I forget, but maybe it'll come back to me. Oh, yes, that's what I was going to say, is that two things. Yeah, I feel that in treating and in the movement of treating, it's really the only thing that I've found that um, feels akin to dancing for me. I need movement in my life, and dance especially has always been so important to me. And my relationship with it has just gotten better over time. But I've never felt the way that I feel about dancing about anything else before. And with ILM, I actually do feel the similar kind of interest and excitement and constant desire for more information, and also frustrations and difficulties too. Like, it's not perfect how I am in it or how I engage with it. And sometimes I need to fight with it, and then I discover something else. And yeah, lastly, it's funny because I reconnected with my high school dance teacher here. So I had her when I was maybe 13 or 14 until 17 or 18. And this was in Connecticut that I had her. And she lives in Berlin now. And we ran into each other here and reconnected. And I've done a couple of treatments with her. And over the years, we've stayed in touch online. And so she's seen some of my improvisation videos that I've posted. And after a treatment, she was like, I feel you dancing in this treatment. Like, and now I understand the movement that you do now, and I was like,
wow.
that is beautiful. Thank you. And it's cool because like I can feel that for myself. But I don't know. Sometimes I don't know how these things register for other people. So it's like a little external mirror reflection. It's kind of cool.
Wow, that's amazing. Um, yeah, and uh, sorry, Taylor, I just saw my phone going like low battery mode, so I'm gonna just plug out of the microphone, and
Mhm.
I hope I don't make too much noise, so I'll be very careful.
No worries.
Can you hear me still?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm just gonna charge it.
Mhm.
But I
Charge it
wanted to
up.
continue because I wanted to ask, like, I'm now kind of going backwards, but what was your entry into dance?
Mm, my mom.
Oh,
Um, I was 4, so I I was tossed into a dance class. At the time, she was putting me in anything, piano, swimming, dance, ice skating, and nothing else stuck. I love swimming, but I hated swimming lessons. I hated the pool. And I would scream like crazy, my parents told me. Um, and ice skating, my feet were always cold, hated that. Um, but yeah, I loved dancing, and I was a little shy, and I don't really, yeah, I don't remember so much my really early experiences of it. Being on stage was interesting, and I would get nervous, but I liked it, I think, as far as I can remember. And then, yeah, I just started doing it more and more as I got a little bit older. And
Were,
I went to a school. Go ahead.
were you exploring different modality of dance or a particular style to start or?
I went to a school until I was 10 that was all different styles. And we also had competitions, which for me, I didn't like the like competitive part of it. That made me nervous. But I loved that we could travel. We would just go like to New York. It wasn't very far, but we would travel and stay in a hotel, and I would get to stay with my best friend and our moms, and we would, get to dance. And the competition part, yeah, like I was saying, I could leave that. But then when I was 10, it was like, okay, we're going to do a more serious training now. But I did like ballet and tap and modern and jazz and blah, 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 all these things. But then when I was 10, I went to a ballet school, and it was hard for me to leave the very fun school. But as soon as I was in the ballet school, I fell in love with it. It was very, um, yeah, serious, I guess, but like serious in a dedicated kind of way. I was interested in giving everything to the training and the trying to achieve something. And I loved the ballet, but then as I went through, yeah, middle school was like mostly ballet, and then in high school is when I met my jazz teacher that I mentioned that lives in Berlin. And yeah, she was really like, that's when I learned that dance could be therapeutic for me, very, very cathartic. She's who initiated that that realization for me, and then it became necessary for me to dance. Like before that, I enjoyed it. I loved the movement and the community and the working hard at something. Um, but then once the feeling was also involved and like processing emotions, and then I was hooked, and I just couldn't stop because I went to school for undergrad for environmental science, and really loved that and enjoyed it, but it was very much prompted by this need to do something academic and practical. And I found myself dancing anyways. I was taking classes, like extra classes at the school and in the city in Chicago. And then when I was going into my third year, they approved a dance major that was new at the school. Previously, they had a minor. And so I did everything I could to finish both majors. And yeah, it was like dance is always, it was always like they're integrated into everything. And I wanted to do it, but I felt like I shouldn't or I couldn't, or that I would just do way too much in order to make it work as a part of my life. And after graduation is when I was working a lot in a coffee shop and dancing and working at a ballet school. And I did that for 3 years and then decided to go to LA to dance full time.
Wow.
You froze, but I'm smiling face.
I didn't know this part about you. So nice to hear.
Okay, I missed what
And
you said, but now
like
you're back.
with like I was just mentioning how
Sorry.
like I didn't know this part about you, and it's just so nice to hear. All of your researches and curiosity, like what's kind of like cooking now? What's your current uh, uh, kind of thing you're chewing on?
Mm, um,
Whether that's like part of ILM or
mhm.
incorporated or not.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. Like how do I explain and where do I begin? Um, I think after being here some time and settling, it's becoming more clear, and I'm I'm interested in creating my own work and also performing other people's work and being a part of processes that feel interesting and exciting to me, on a physical and theoretical and emotional level. And so I'm finding that still while I'm here. Um, and same thing for ILM. I'm starting to work more with like more recurring clients, but also a lot of new faces still. And they all feel elated, um, which I think is a good sign. I think they all inform each other. But what I'm really interested in is this is a good question. It's a reflective moment for me. I think really like finding my voice very clearly and my intention and what I want to offer to people, to the world. Like, this is important for myself in my creative work, and as a performer, it's important to me. And as a practitioner, it's important to me, especially, meeting brand new people. It's, yeah, like I feel like it's important to be building and thinking about what's ahead, but it's also like that's coming from the settling mindset. And it's really like what's in front of me right now and why is it in front of me? Why is it important? Um, yeah, a lot of clarifying, and that feels really beautiful because then I'm very present and with things and people that I really want to be with. Yeah. I
That's
don't know if
like
that answers the question fully, but yeah.
it really it really feels very authentic to you because um I think one of kind of the strong memories that I have with you, like somehow always in the course, like we ended up pairing for like energetic work. Because I was just thinking, like reflecting, I'm like, wow, I don't think like in terms of like physical basic practices, we didn't really pair up that often, or I don't recall that many times, but I remember profoundly like all the energetic work, like at least part or if not big chunk, I've done it with you.
Mm,
And I mean, you just have such a beautiful presence and energy to start with, so that was so
you too.
beautiful. But like learning from you, that's really I found very special to be around is that like you have this very like expansive richness to sense of time,
Mm,
and like when you just mentioned of like being present, and it's very like in line with the method itself, but like I really feel this, like I just don't really see or I never felt that you're in rush. And this is a quality of mine, that quality of yours that I really admire, and I feel like I'm like, oh yeah, like I learn from you every time I'm around you. I'm like, oh yeah, I don't have to rush. Like, why am I? Because I think that's my cultural, like, just be practical and get things done, and to like, it was a big learning for me through the method, but and worse to be like appreciate what's now, and I feel like you really embody that, and to know that you'll continue to work with that, it's really just like wow.
Yeah, that's nice to hear, and I do think this feeling and mentality came a lot from learning the method and practicing and just embodying this way of thinking. Because I wouldn't describe myself that way previously. Like, I think if you ask my friends that I grew up with or people that I met throughout my journey, they would say that I have a very calm energy, but at that time I really felt like it was just because I was mostly quiet. Like inside I felt like crazy and anxious and stressed, and like, so I think finding this way of letting go, but also the sense of time, like the relationship with time. I think of time as experience and not as this regular passing, this rhythm. Like if you're experiencing a lot, you have so much time, and why wouldn't you want this long life full of beautiful things that you're noticing? And beautiful, I don't mean just like good and easy and happy, but rich, like really experiencing everything. So I think, yes, the practice of being very present and connected just slows everything down really nicely, or it gives you a lot of space, so then it has this appearance of being slow. But yes, we're always partnered in these moments. Also, I have to say that like sometimes it's always, we've talked about this before, when you have this little cadence during trainings that could be like, for me, I would always have some sort of breakdown on the second or third day that was like some trauma release that needed to happen, but it just takes your whole day away, or for it, and that's okay. Or like you were saying, coming down with some sort of sickness midway through and dealing with that. And I do recall this one of these days that I was struggling and trying to be present still in the training. I came over to you to do this like crazy thing that we were doing, rolling on the table, around the table, like from the head. And you were so sweet because I like tried and I was like, I can't. And you're like, okay. So I appreciate that. Like I feel very comfortable with you to just be like, this very straightforward. I love it.
I think we in the course we all experience, so we know what it's like. It's such a. I always find it so beautiful as to be practicing with the group of people we can share our vulnerable side, especially.
Oh yes, yes.
Oh, more to come, I guess, in December. Hey.
It's gonna be big. It's our last of 3 meetings. Yeah, we have to do something. Froze again a little bit. Are you back?
Yeah. Maybe we will just for to respect time again sometime, Taylor. Oh no. Again, but maybe for this time we'll wrap for you.
Yes. This Instagram page of mine, Taylor Treatment, my website is listed, and my website has my email on it and information about where I am and what I'm doing. But always people can email me, and I'm happy to connect that way.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's everything.
I'm just like actually like doing a last minute composition of just making an announcement for the festival, but for the festival next month. But are you part of which part are you where
Yes,
can people meet you during the festival?
yes, I would love to say two things. One is September 21st. People can come by my Senses studio in Prenzlauer Berg in Berlin. And Toby and I are going to have an open door short treatment experience. Um, in the studio there, we'll have two tables and we'll treat side by side. And people can just show up or they can register if they want a specific time. So that's on the 21st. And then on the 28th and 29th, we're going to be in Brussels with Noah, and I believe Adi and Anna will be there. And then we have a student or two that are in the course now that'll join us. And that's super exciting. I've only been to Brussels once and I loved it. So I'm really excited to go back. But
And
that's
this,
on the 28th and 29th. What?
sorry, I totally interrupted you. Just saying that I just wanted to express how I love the name of the studio.
Yes, it's sweet.
Yeah.
And they're really cool there. I haven't met them in person yet, but it's been a good experience so far. Yeah.
And you mentioned it's 28, 29?
Yes. That
Oh,
workshop will be all day, yeah, 10 to 5, and we'll do an open clinic at the end of the day.
so nice. I'm like already putting myself there. Oh,
Can you come, please?
I won't be there. I'm already thinking about it. Yeah, I mean,
Oh, yes.
if it's all day,
No,
I'll be like
my internet
partially
is
like
not
just waking
amazing,
up and
so
making my
you're
coffee.
freezing occasionally, but um, you're back now, yes. Sorry. But yes, I hope you had an amazing coffee this morning. I'm enjoying following your coffee sharings, and I'm so happy that you're doing this too on Instagram. Like, it's wonderful to connect with people about ILM, but it is so alive and difficult to put words to. And so I think this is a really nice way to, yeah, just get to know who's doing it and where and why. And one thing that we've talked about in the past is how different everyone is doing it. And though it's the same language, we all converse differently. So it's really cool to get to know everyone in this way. Thank you for doing
uh, thank you for, yeah, thank you for saying yes.
it. I'm happy to.
So enjoy your day.
Thank you. Enjoy your morning.
Thank you so much. And yeah, it's so lovely to do this with you. And I guess we'll be maybe meeting on Sunday Zoom, but for sure in December also. So.
Yes, I look forward to both. I can't wait to see you in real life.
This time I want to do some practicals with you.
Yes, let's do it.
Both
I would love
it's
to.
nice too, but I'm like, I want to do exchange.
Yes, yes, let's find time.
Okay, thanks so much, Taylor.
Thank
you for
you,
everybody.
Sahara.
See you soon.